Good morning, everyone. Angie Harness here, Keller Williams back with Mental Monday. And just as a reminder, this is where we invite people to just talk about some things that might offer some emotional help for everyone else. And today, just something to think about. Are you or someone you love currently a caregiver for a loved one with a terminal cancer or similar diagnosis? Could be Alzheimer's, could be dementia. Um, my friend Joanne Mengvasa is here to give you some pointers on this often overwhelming task. No one ever asks for this job, and sometimes it's just when we love people, we're going to care for them, and that's how it works. But it's really important to know how to take care of yourself when you're the one who is the caregiver. And Joanne has been faced with caring for a sister, and a sister has with an inoperable brain tumor, and both her parents also had a cancer diagnosis. So she understands full well what that's like. What that's like to care for someone with a terminal illness. And because of her experience, she went on and has become certified as a life mastery consultant in 2019 through Mary Morrissey's Brave Thinking Institute. She also continues to study under Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, among others. And she has many mentors, and she's an expert in this arena. So welcome, Joanne.
Thank you. Good morning, Angie.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. So one of the things I know you wanted to talk about was self-care, which, as you said, it's often overlooked and very important. So tell us a little bit about that, and how should people care for themselves?
Right. Well, and I guess I'll tell a little bit about my background first of all. Like I said, or like she said in the intro, I was faced with my sister who had an inoperable brain tumor, and that's been 12 years ago now. And I was fortunate enough at the time to have a job where I could work from anywhere. And so they allowed me to go and be with her for several weeks at a time because she was in St. Louis and I was in North Carolina. And so I could go and work from there, but be available for her as she needed some help. And so it was very new to me at the time. And I learned, certainly by being around for her, that you can't just take care of someone full time all the time and not take care of yourself in the process. It's important that you get out even for a couple of hours now and then, if you can't get more than that, and just take care of yourself while you're taking care of them, so that you've got the energy to give to them. And in fact, if you're doing nothing but chores around them and that kind of thing, then you know that they're going to start feeling like that they're truly burdening you and that kind of thing. So if you can get help with some of those type of everyday chores, then you can truly be with that person when you're with them, instead of constantly being working and busy the whole time that you're with them.
Yeah, I find that when I talk to people who are through something similar, they often are challenged with feeling like it's okay to take a break. They feel they sometimes, it seems like sometimes people can get really wrapped up in the caregiving and the caretaking, and then they feel guilty if they step away. Is that an issue for you?
Yeah, and in fact, I was talking with a friend just yesterday, as a matter of fact, that she is currently with her mom, who is not ill as such, but she is 88, so she's up in that, and the guilt definitely comes about, but unfortunately you have to kind of reframe what you're thinking. And like they say on an airplane, for instance, always put your mask on first. You've got to take care of you, or you won't be in be your best self to take care of that person. So yes, guilt comes in because as women, we're often expected to be the caregiver and do it all and be all. And so it definitely takes some reframing to remember that if you don't take care of you first, if you get sick, you're not any help to them either. So you've got to definitely take some time out whenever you get a chance, even if it's an hour or two, go out to dinner with somebody or go and get a massage, or there's so many things you can do just to take care of you in order to be more available to take care of them.
Absolutely. Well, and for women in particular, we're nurturers by nature. It's kind of how we're wired, and not to exclude men from this conversation. I mean, that there's men out there, obviously doing a lot of caregiving as well, and the same
Absolutely.
goes to them. Um, and then I also have heard people talk about where sometimes if you might be the caregiver and the person you're caring for can also become very dependent upon you, and it can make it even more challenging to step away because then sometimes they say things that could cause you to feel guilty. And so that's where having some really good healthy boundaries around that is obviously going to be very important. And just recognizing that you have the right to care for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, there are people out there too, if they're being cared for, they're going, you can't leave me, you can't leave me. But it's if you don't occasionally get out and just refill your own cup, then and it can be hard to set those boundaries as well. So, but it's so important to do so for you and for them, really. Even if it's, say you've got a teenager and they can sit and maybe play a game with somebody with them, or just hang out with them for an hour or two so that you can get out. And just even go to the grocery store is kind of one of those things that, it's not a fun thing, but it gets you away from the situation for a few minutes to kind of breathe and get yourself back a little bit.
Yeah. So what would you say to someone? Let's just say someone's in a situation where someone is full care and they can't be left alone, and you don't have anyone to come and relieve you. What would be your advice for someone who's in that kind of a situation?
There are places, I know a friend of mine had when she was caring for her husband, she found a place called Martha's Hands, and there's several different groups like that who can send somebody out for, say, 4 hours at a time or 8 hours or whatever. And you pay a fee, but that person can also not only be available for them, but help around the house a little bit so that when you come back, you're not constantly doing the chores and doing all that needs to be done around the house. You can actually sit back and be with that person when you can, instead of always being busy around them. Because the biggest thing too with somebody like that is to be there for them, as much as to take care of them, but just also to be there for them so that they don't end up feeling like that you're there just to work. So it's important to kind of separate that a little and be there for them as well as taking care of them.
Absolutely. So being that companion, not just a caregiver. Yeah, and another great resource is Right at Home. They also provide services for folks. My friend Heather Cushing has been on to talk about Right at Home, and they're another amazing organization for folks. Yeah, and just something that just came to my mind as well. A lot of times, if you are the caregiver, you can get paid to be a caregiver as well.
Absolutely.
That can be really helpful for folks, especially if there's any kind of financial burden. You can, and I don't know the process for that. I just do know that that is an actual thing. You can get paid by the state, I guess, because and it's a cost savings versus going into skilled care. So
exactly.
Little sidebar on that. Uh, so so you talk about asking for help. A lot of times we're reluctant. We kind of just touched on that, that's really important to ask for help. Don't just don't be an island.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and even if it's, say, to ask your church for help or to ask an organization, there are a lot of organizations around town always looking to help people out. Uh, just ask around. I mean, because there is help out there, and if you've got friends and they offer to help, do not turn them away. If they're offering to help, they really want to help. So even if it's comes to the point of they can sit with them while you go out to dinner, or they can sit with them while you just say, go get it, like I said before, or a massage, those are so rare these days for some of these people that, and in fact, it's funny that I have not talked to a lot of people who have had massage in their life, but it's really good. so
Yeah.
but you got to take care of you, and when somebody's asking you what they can do to help, have have a thought or two. Say, would you mind sitting with them for a couple hours just so that I can run out and do a couple of errands, or whatever the case may be. They do want to help, and if that's something that they are capable of doing, allow them to do it. Be able to receive help when people are offering.
100%. Well, and when you mentioned a massage, I can't stress that enough, that if you're limited on time, a full body massage gives you so much bang for the time and your money.
Absolutely.
Uh, I just know for myself, and go to somebody who's very skilled. So my friend Cassidy Renner, she's amazing. She's over at Forefront Dermatology over on Highway K in O'Fallon. She and her team are fantastic. So you really want to go to somebody who's highly skilled, but your body carries tension, and you can
Mhm.
feel like stressed and just feel the weight of the world on you. And literally you can go get a full body massage from somebody who is highly skilled, and you're going to feel amazing when you come out. So I can't stress that enough. Just the
Absolutely.
power of that. It's really,
Well,
really
and even
yeah.
if your loved one is on hospice care, for instance, they offer a lot of those kind of services to the caregiver. And
Mhm.
at the time, say when I was with or working with my dad or my sister, it's like I never took them up on that. But that's something that uh, you really should consider, because in a lot of cases, those are free for you. I don't know all the specifics, but if they're offering you those kind of services, then check into it. It's important to take care of yourself. That's the biggest takeaway here, is just you've got to take care of you, or you're going to start to decline, and then you're not doing either of you any good.
Yeah, you're gonna burn out. Yeah, don't be a martyr.
Absolutely.
No one loves a martyr. And it's none of us are saints. And at some point, if you don't take care of yourself, that tension is going to come out in other ways. And
Hmm.
it end up meaning you might say something you regret to the person you're caring for, or, you know, um, so it's better to take care of yourself so that you don't have to, worry that you're going to lose your patience and say something that is going to make you feel bad later on. So it's never worth it, for
Yeah.
sure. So, and you mentioned that you talked a little bit about grieving, that sometimes that starts early on, and
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that, will you?
Right. Well, with my sister, for instance, her brain tumor was on the communication center of her brain. And so there were times when she wasn't able to talk. So when I would go back to North Carolina, I couldn't simply pick up the phone and call and chat with her, my sister. And so it was more a situation of I had to either call her husband or her sons. And there was a whole translation thing going and that kind of thing. So it was like loss of just that simple task of calling to chat with her, was gone, months before she was gone. And so it's kind of important to start processing some of that. And especially when you're watching somebody who's um, terminally ill, um, it finally gets to the point at towards the end where you and it almost sounds horrible to say, but you almost wish they'd go ahead and go, just because they're in so much pain and they're dealing with so much that it just makes you feel better once that happens. And it's not an accepted way of thinking of it, really. But when somebody's in that much pain and you just have to sit there and watch them, that is the hardest thing in the world. And so just the fact that they end up being beyond that pain really almost makes the whole grieving thing a little easier, versus, say, for instance, somebody who's goes or immediately. The shock factor is a whole different issue too. So, but they've also, I like how somebody said it the other day, they've given you the gift of time to say any of your goodbyes and your anything that might be important to talk with them about, or finish final things and those kind of things. So in a lot of ways, that's a gift, because you can take care of some of those things that when it's an instant thing, you don't have that option. So
Yeah. Those are such good points, Joanne. And just, it's also just a reminder to us all to think about that just as we go through our lives day to day.
mhm.
Make sure you tell the people that you care about that you love them. Don't, even if you're mad,
Yes.
I
Hold them a
always say,
little tighter.
yeah, think about that. Don't take it for granted. And Neil's like, okay, I'm mad at you right now, and I love you.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, just think about those things. It's important. Yeah, and when you talked about, some people say it's probably challenging to say, man, it's a relief that they're at peace now. And I know for me, I've come from a faith perspective. I'm Christian, and I think it's perfect. I mean, I would, if it's in my situation, having lost some folks, I do rejoice in the fact that, I know where they are now and that they are in peace. And
Mhm.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's
Right.
just my personal opinion. And I can't, it's hard to see people that you love suffer. Um,
Absolutely.
it really is hard. And when they finally go, and I mean, not to be a downer on a Monday morning,
Right.
folks, it is, I think it's okay. So,
It's all part of the cycle of life. It's not, and
100%.
you're not guaranteed tomorrow for yourself, much less those around you. And
Hmm.
so the sooner that you can start to accept what it is for what it is, then the sooner you can start to move on with your own life. But I always, the other thing too is that even when they're gone, I still find myself doing mannerisms that were my mom's. I and my sisters. I'll do an eye roll or something, and I'll go, oh, that's Lisa. That's something she would have done, or that's a mannerism she would have done. And so, just keeping them close in your heart, if you are open to it, they're around even once they're gone. And so you're not completely losing a person. You've still got them in you in so many ways. And so that's something else to remember as you go through that whole process, is uh, to remember the good memories. And I guess it kind of almost hurts my soul that people memorialize the day that somebody died. And I'm like, that is such a day, that is such a short period of their life. What we should be remembering more is their life, and
Hmm.
how they impacted us over their life, and they've what kind of memories did we have with them. And it's so, to me, it's almost sad to hear people talk about, oh, that was the day they passed. Well, we need to maybe get past that idea and remember more about all of the years that they lived and remembering those memories instead of that particular day.
I and happiness and joy are choice are they're choices we make. And when we're going through hard times, it's obviously more challenging. Um, and I guess to kind of end maybe on a little bit more of a high note,
Yeah.
I would encourage everyone to, no matter what you're going through and dealing with, whether it's dealing with somebody who's terminally ill, or any kind of illness situation, dementia, Alzheimer's, is really try to um, allow yourself to grieve. Have your,
Absolutely.
as my coach calls it, your 5-minute funeral, and that's a flippant way to say it. I don't mean it literally that way.
Well, yeah.
But also at the same time, focus on, how do I enjoy this time with this person that I love? How do I embrace what's happening and create sweet moments with this
Right.
person?
Absolutely.
And that's really the best that you can do, is if you can create those positive moments in the face of everything else that's going on.
Absolutely. Because they are, I mean, they may be in a lot of pain, they may be having a lot going on, but they are still alive.
Mhm.
Enjoy that while you've got it. It's so important to continue to have those moments. There were a
Mhm.
lot of times that, even in the last months or so when my sister was sick, we'd laugh because there was a charades thing going on and we'd get it wrong and she'd just shake her head like, no. And so we kind of laugh and go, well, we're trying, but, and so it's okay to laugh with them. It's okay to
Mhm.
have those good moments. In
Yeah,
fact, don't make it so somber for them because it's going to happen one way or another, but it doesn't have to all be sad times. You
absolutely.
can have those good moments as well.
100%. So Joanne, so as we close out here, what do people need to know, and how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah. Well, I'm still having a few technical issues on Facebook, but I am doing a virtual live event on Saturday, October 16th. I will have more information available as we get a little closer. Hopefully this week. I'm working on that. But you can reach me at joanne.loveyourlife@gmail.com right now. So, and my phone number is on the screen. I believe it's 919-218-6068. I am in St. Louis area right now, but I lived in North Carolina for 18 years, so that's why the North Carolina number there. But I've been back for about 7 years. So, but anyway, so I am really trying to reach people that are going through some of this and help them to realize that they need to take care of themselves first and foremost when they're taking care of somebody else, because it doesn't do them any good to lose their own health in the process of taking care of somebody else, because then they can't be available for them, for one. So it's so important.
Absolutely. And part of that self-care might be picking up the phone and calling Joanne, and attending her event. Highly encourage you to do so. I mean, obviously she's someone who gets it because she's been through it herself. So she's going to understand exactly where you're coming from. Sometimes that's the challenge for people is, you might want to talk to your best friend, but your best friend has no clue because they've never experienced something like this. So sometimes just having somebody to talk to who
Right.
understands where you're coming from can really, that can go a long way by just relieving some of the tension for yourself.
Well, and I realized too, even going through it with my sister, that there were so many things that I didn't understand at all until I was actually in that position. Like, for instance, I see some friend's husband who was going through final stage cancer, going out to the bar or something, and I'd go, what? But then somebody explained to me, and it's important that you don't spend all of your time with that person. You've got to take breaks. Breaks are so important. And that was something that I had to learn through that process. And it's okay to take breaks and to ask for or receive help. It's okay to do all that. So
100%, 100%. Well, everyone, this has been another edition of Mental Monday, and we just thank Joanne Manglosser for being here, and I really encourage you to reach out to her with any questions or just if you need some help with this kind of a situation, and wish you all a blessed week, and till next time.
thank you.